The loud, monotone beeping of the alarm yanked me from my happy dream space, shoving me back into the real world. A tragedy, really. I casually pushed the covers off my body and stretched, yawning as I crossed the room to the control panel mounted on the wall. A picture of the fair beauty that was my mom hung nearby, my dresser a foot away. I tapped the panel's digital screen and set the room's temperature to a comfortable 73 degrees Fahrenheit. Flipping a few switches and lazily smashing some buttons on the control panel prompted the robot hands to make my bed, ordering blueberry waffles with honey in the fully automated kitchen downstairs as well. I walked over to the dresser, pulling out my clothes for the day and brushed my long curly brown hair in the mirror attached. The quiet whir of the mechanics in the wall of my two-story home set every machine to work. I put my glasses on in the mirror and admired the freckles and emerald green eyes I inherited from my late mother. I crinkled my nose, remembering the drunk driver that killed her all those years ago. Wiping my eyes, I headed out of my room and walked the long corridor to the spiraling staircase leading to the ground floor. As I stepped lower and lower, I nearly got dizzy. Houses ever since 2056 were made tall and chock full of mechanics, reaching high to absorb sunlight and CO2 for max energy efficiency. A quick glance outside the large window framing the staircase with every other house in the neighborhood. I was met with a sky of gray clouds, an army of trees swaying in the wind, and glowing puddles on the sidewalk. How long is it going to rain today? I pondered aloud. I wanted to read on the lawn this morning. Today, heavy rain, scattered thunderstorms, and wind will occur until 11 p.m. A computerized woman's voice answered, startling me. Oh, Jesus, that scared me. I totally forgot about the new voice-activated response update on our watches. As I continued up the stairs, I hopped off the final step and headed towards the dining area attached to the kitchen. I pushed the menu button and added cream plus sugar coffee to my breakfast order and proceeded to the custom bar stool seating. The conveyor belt slowly moved along the table just past the gap big enough for plates, silverware, and cups. I looked at memes sent by friends on my watch until the waffles with honey floated by, halting in front of my feet. I tapped the lever on the side of the always spotless counter. A hidden door hissed open, revealing the silverware compartment. Little magnet-tipped robotic arms lifted a fork and knife from the pile, setting them beside my plate, and returned to the compartment as the door clicked shut. Finishing my food, I replaced the dishes and coffee mugs onto the conveyor belt, sending them to be washed in the kitchen. All of a sudden, I hear my father's voice. He usually spent all his time downstairs, only ordering food to be delivered to his basement lounge. I looked around, puzzled, and so I looked at my watch to see if he was video messaging me. A tap on the screen restarted his message. Hello, his recorded voice said. The lab has been extra busy, and my watch has been malfunctioning, hence my wall-mounted screen call. I need oatmeal, black coffee, and toast sent to my office immediately. Also, make sure you stop by my office tonight, say around 7 p.m. I want to show you something. The call ended with a few beeps. I went to the intercom, nearest to me, which was in the media room. I spoke in his order, verbatim, requesting to be sent to his office. I heard the friendly whir of the mechanics and set to work on my revised plan for the day. VR games. Strapping on the headset, gloves, and chest piece, and boots, I heard the game-running computer of the room say, Alyssa Ridd. Reminder. Meet Dad, Dr. Freddrick Ridd, founder and lead scientist of Dreammare Labs, Psychoanalytical Facility and Research Center tonight at 7 p.m. What game would you like to enter? I thought a second before responding. Marcus Magic, Spell Adventure. Splitting out. Marcus Magic, Spell Adventure, replied the computer, as fans turned on and the game's interface shone in my face. I entered the familiar fantasy realm after a few seconds of a title screen, standing exactly where I left off the last time I played. My level was still 22, and my stats were full. I looked down, still in awe of the retro, yet modern texture of my character. It resembled me, but with subtle artistic differences. Armor covered her head to toe. On her hips sat a leather belt. On her left hung a sheathed longsword, sharper than any other in the realm. On her right, strapped securely to the belt, was a large spellbook. Awe quickly turned to determination to level up, and I wandered the forest, smiting hellhounds and ogres while acquiring mushrooms and berries for the defenseless townspeople I protected. I was filling my inventory with natural goodies when I came across a mage tower I neglected quite a few levels ago. I entered the room, coming face to face with a level 14 bone miser, a flaming skeleton armed with a spear and quick boots, immune to poison. I easily defeated the enemy, saving the mage and scholar inside the library tower. I learned new spells that automatically wrote themselves into the spellbook. I returned to the village to give them their goodies and get paid in gold and health tonics. Hours later, I had surpassed level 22 and saved my progress twice as I hit level 24. I removed the gear and shut off the game, my brain and body exhausted from running around on the treadmill-style gaming platform. I called an electrolyte juice to the emptied mini-fridge built into the wall of the media room. A chunk of air pressure in the tube delivered to me the drink. I sat in a movie-style reclining chair, already reminiscing my recently finished gameplay. By now it was midday. I ordered a grilled cheese sandwich and tomato soup for my watch and headed back to the dining area, sitting in my designated spot. I released a spoon from the compartment and again looked at memes before remembering to order root beer. A few minutes later, I was munching on my lunch when I heard screeching alarms echo throughout the house, despite being muffled as they were coming from the basement. I quickly shifted my watch screen from memes to the loud security cameras, the only ones I had access to right then, as I was slowly earning the professional trust of my father, was the main dream therapy room and main hallway. In the dream therapy room, papers were scattered about. A lamp was tipped over, still lit and flickering. Broken glass coated in blood covers the floor by the door. I scanned for people, but see no one. In the hallway, more blood. A deactivated police set of handcuffs lay by more blood on the tiles. Bloody drag marks wind menacingly into the depths of no range view. My heart is pounding, and while I'm pretty distant with my father, my thoughts all circle around one. Call him. The siren shut off just as the call goes through, leaving me in unforgiving, heavy silence. Sir? I call into my watch, to the wall-mounted screen streaming my fear-covered face. No reply, only whispers and shuffling out of view. Dr. Ridd, is everything all right? I saw some weird shit on the cameras. More shuffling, only this time it's accompanied by muffled screams. Then a throat-clearing cough. Yes? Oh, that. It's nothing, really. A psychotic patient given to us by reasons I'm not allowed to release escaped his handcuffs during a test. See? My father paused, stepping into view with a now crooked nose and a bloody stream pouring from it. Punched me and bust out of the room. The security guards got him and handled him. My father wiped his nose again, smirking. Okay, I mumbled. The smirk made me shudder. Don't forget to come down here later. I need to show you something. Before I could respond, an off-screen voice called to my father. He quickly hung up, leaving me hunched over my watch, heart and mind racing as fast as those retro NASCAR racers. My hands were shaking. A sinking feeling filled my gut. An hour passes, and I'm calm enough to continue my day. I return upstairs, crank up my favorite old songs from the 2040s, and work on finishing my 3D rendering of the Civil War for AP history. I sit down at my hologram workspace, a desk which allows the user to create anything from war reenactments to perfect spheres to organ systems. I was nearly done, just tinkering settings for the gore level, soldier numbers, and tree values. I finished and swiped my hand behind it, knocking into the cyber turn-in basket. I got up and stretched, happy I accomplished my homework early. A news alert beep caught my attention. I looked at my wrist and shuddered at the title. Mr. John Paddington has been missing for 6 days. Authorities now find his body, mutilated and disfigured, in the woods behind his house. I couldn't believe it. Mr. Paddington was a brilliant man who lived close to us and happened to be prone to nightmares and sleep paralysis. He was a billionaire from his invention of the automated kitchen 22 years ago, in 2085. He also donated millions to reforest our now thriving Amazon rainforest and end manufacturing pollution in North and South America. His death is a tragedy, as well as a nightmare. I shed a few tears, finally remembering the few times I met him, before moving on. I returned to the media room downstairs and watched random TV programs until an alarm on my watch went off at 7 p.m. I knew what it meant, so I began my slow traverse to the basement lab. The hallway leading back farther into the house past the kitchen and living room, was long and windowless. A dusty framed picture of my slender, gentle mom and my bulky, formidable father looked harsh and strange in the industrial lighting of this hallway. The painting would be suitable in the soft lighting of the upstairs hallway, but my father insisted it be here. I brushed my fingertips lightly against the painting, rubbing the dust onto my jeans as I continued down the hallway. I scanned my watch and entered the pin to enter the elevator in the hallway. I stepped in as the doors whisked open. I let the camera by the button scan my retinas. A green light flashed as my eye was accepted and 2 buttons lit up. 0 for the basement and 1 for the first floor of the house. The elevator door closed after I pressed 0, slowly sinking below ground, halting at the bottom. No music played in this elevator. The smell of desperation and sterile equipment stank up the room. Security officers I had never seen before attempted to escort me to my father's office, holding each of my forearms and walking the maze-like hallways in an inefficient manner. I knew the shortcut, but I let them guide me as they were probably new and didn't get the confusing layout yet. I shrugged their rough hands from my shoulders and walked slightly ahead of them towards the office. They followed silently and fell back as we approached the office door. I knocked twice. Moments later, my father poked his head out the door, nodding to the security guards that they can leave before he grabbed my lower left arm firmly. He excitedly dragged me down a flight of stairs and through another hallway. We passed stony-eyed doctors and glossy-eyed wheelchair-strapped patients before we entered a large room filled with sterile equipment and tech everywhere. A balcony-style platform stood above us and was sparsely dotted with a few more doctors, a businessman, and guards. In the middle of what I dubbed the stage sat a recliner chair similar to the old-timey, near ancient doctor's chairs. Beside and attached to it were new-age tech I'd never seen before. "This is what I wanted to show you," my dad quietly whispered to me before addressing his audience in a booming voice. "This is a nightmare simulator. We here at Dreammare Labs want to study brain activity, especially in nightmares. Now those are too rare nowadays. So this simulator allows us to force a willing patient to enter an extreme nightmare, where scenarios and scenery is completely controlled by the mainframe network. Previously, we've injected and/or fed patients a variety of drugs to induce nightmares, and not only killed the minds of patients, resulting in psychotic ones that needed to be dealt with forcibly. But this new method forces the nightmares to happen from consciousness, and even analyzes and records the brain activity through the helmet attached." A few guards entered the stage floor and paced towards my father and I as we continued this presentation. "Today, my esteemed colleagues, we will see a demonstration of this nightmare simulation. After the straps are tied down on the patient and the helmet is hooked in, a gel made of nanobots and electricity-filled goo will be smeared on the exposed wrist of the patient. The gel analyzes heart rate as the simulation forces said patient to run, face fears, fight, etc. Now enough talking. Let's start the show." The guards are now surrounding us, grabbing my neck and shoulders and arms to force me into the chair. I fought and screamed, only to be injected with a temporary silencer I'd only seen be used with mental asylum patients in a documentary years ago. I looked to see which doctor injected me, and made eye contact with the cold, ice-blue eyes of my father. I continued to fight against the guards, and the needle dug deeper into my shoulder blade where it made contact. I yelped in pain, only to be muted midway. The guards held me down while my father ignored my silent screaming and strapped me into the chair. He forced my wrist to face the harsh lab lighting above us and secured my ankles, legs, torso, and shoulders snugly. "Friends, please ignore the patient's squirming. She has no mother and suffers from psychosis." My father boomed again to his audience, that all too familiar smirk creeping onto his face while he lowered the helmet onto my head. He smeared the gel on my right wrist as it was the one closest to him. He switched on the machine, the silencer wore off, and I yelled out a final "Father!" before everything went dark and I slipped into unconsciousness.